All right, here we go. Yoga Sutras. We're on Sutra 216 in Swami Satchidananda's translation. So I'm going to actually read what's in here. It won't take me long. There's not much. All right, so his translation is pain that has not yet come is avoidable. Pain that has not yet come is avoidable. So I spent a decent amount of time in my own practice this morning, like really kind of being with that. And I got into a little semantic argument in my own head about like, well, is it the pain or is it the suffering? You know, if I stub my toe, there's pain. If I have a disease, there's could be some pain. Like, can I truly avoid that? Well, yeah, there's like a be more mindful and don't stub your toe. Don't eat red meat and don't get heart disease. Like, you know, there's like all those conversations, but like really, what do I think this sutra is trying to tell us? So I read the Sanskrit, and I'm going to read the Sanskrit to you too. It says, my pronunciation will be mangled, but that's okay. Heyam dukkam anagatam. So the word dukkha is a really interesting word, dukkam. If you look in this book, I don't know if you realize this yet, but there's a glossary in the back. There's a bunch of stuff in the back, but in the glossary,
by the way, I wish you had told me that like months ago, because I just stumbled upon that and like, this is just amazing. I can look the word up if I've forgotten what it means. I will let that go.
Yeah, so let's look at dukkam. If you do happen to have a copy of the book, it's on page 240. Oh wait, is that true? 239. According to the glossary, dukkam is suffering. And that word dukkha, also in Pali, which is, you know, the language of Buddhism, ancient scriptures in Buddhism, the word dukkha is used a lot. And, you know, some of my studies have spent a lot of time discussing the word dukkha and what does it mean. And, you know, some scholars say that there's not really a good English word for it. Like suffering isn't quite what it is and pain isn't quite what it is. Like, what's dukkha? I don't want us to go into too much like philosophical or academic around this, but if we think of it more as suffering that has not yet come is avoidable, I think it's more approachable in terms of what comes later. Because the next sutra, which we won't do in depth today, but is the cause of that avoidable pain, is not understanding the true nature of reality. Like when we don't really get it, we suffer. When we don't really get it, we suffer. So I was thinking about this experience I had of pain this week. I woke up on one morning at 3 o'clock and I had a really serious foot cramp. Just like my toes had like curled up and my foot was like all warped and weird, and there was a lot of physical intensity. And, you know, there's the reaction like, I want this to stop. And wishing it away and desiring it to end. So that's a form of suffering. And then there was a sense of powerlessness, like I can't make this stop, like I feel like I'm not in control of what's happening. That's a form of suffering. And then eventually it was like, I really need to sleep because I'm going to be tired tomorrow and then I won't be able to do what I need. And that's a form of suffering, right? Like we just keep piling on all the bad things that are going to happen that aren't actually even happening yet. And we just compound the suffering with future. So the suffering itself is somewhat avoidable if we can quiet our mind and direct it towards something that's actually happening and not the future hallucinations or fantasies or whatever we're making. And the same goes for, suffering can also happen just ruminating on the past. And I think that's really what this sutras has to offer at some level, is like the pain, the suffering is avoidable. The things that happen might not be, but all the layers of stuff on top. And part of that is to be able to see our mind working and have an awareness that, oh wait, I'm projecting into the future. What's actually happening? So in this foot cramp thing, I was like, okay, well, what's actually happening? And there was sharpness, and there was sort of a feeling of not being in control. Like my foot was inadvertently just like curling up, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting, actually. Like, how's that work? Is it the tendons or the ligaments or the muscle? Like, And like once it was more interesting than painful, the suffering was different. And it was like, oh, this is just something I'm observing, not something I'm trying to avoid. And of course, it eventually stopped. I mean, if you've ever had a foot cramp or a leg cramp, like they don't last forever. They kind of suck when they're happening, but you're like, oh yeah, like I'm not gonna be awake all night with a cramp. Walk it off, get a drink of water, do something. The suffering that is not yet here is avoidable. And the practice of mindfulness helps us to detach from the default thinking pattern and go, oh yeah, there I go again. Maybe I just put my attention on my breath. Be with what's actual, what's real. So we're gonna meditate, we're gonna practice. I'm gonna invite each of you to create a posture, a stable foundation, and an uprightness. Close your eyes if you like, or just lower your gaze if that's better for you. And sense into what's real. So feel your physical body and feel whatever it's touching. Sense into your lower extremities. And this morning, just cultivate a little bit of gratitude for your lower extremities. Thank you. You hold me up. Notice if there's any discomfort in your lower extremities. If you find some, get curious. What's actually the sensation? if the sensation is from something that you can change, like your posture, and you need to, you can do that. Notice your hands. Just as they are, without any meaning on top. Bring an attention to your upper extremities. And into your shoulders, your neck, your torso. Some of us live in our head and not in our physical body as much. So give yourself permission to just be with the physicality of your upper body. So what's here? Notice your breath. Notice the coming and going. Consider each breath out as a letting go, a releasing of each breath. Most of the time for me, the breath is not something I cling to. I'm confident that there'll be another breath in. There's no attachment to the breath as it goes out. No sense of loss. There's no suffering or pain with the letting go of each breath. It just is. It's how it is. bigger, deeper breath. Do that again. Another big clearing of space. And open your eyes when you're ready. If you can see the other yogis on the screen, notice the light shining through Fernessa. Comments, insights, questions?
I have a confession. I have done this going ahead and worrying about pain that hasn't happened yet. My cat was recently diagnosed with a life-limiting kidney disease. And instead of, just I can treat it, we caught it early. I immediately jumped to the end of life decision when you have to decide to put an animal down, and it's just breaks your heart. So it took me a while to get out of that funk and get into the enjoy what time we have left kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna, or maybe even want to, get out of the humanness of what love and caring offers in terms of connection. I don't want to lose that. That's not my aim in these practices, but it's to be able to soothe myself when it's too much. Maybe when I'm retired and I have lots of spare time, I'll meditate to be enlightened. But right now, I'm really just meditating to get through the day. And we love our beings in our realm, and so there will be suffering. Just how much? Yeah.
And you don't really need to do the pre-suffering because you'll get to do the suffering at some point. So I had to talk myself out of it. Like, let's just wait until the time, and then you can do the suffering.
Yeah, I had a cat that was diagnosed with acute kidney disease, and I started doing the intravenous fluids. And then I decided that I would only do palliative care, like a good hospice person. So we kept her on her pain meds, but we stopped doing the fluids. And I was like, okay, now it's really time for hospice. Like, we're just gonna let her take the natural course. She started eating again, and she lived like 3 more years. I was like, oh, okay. It's not what you think sometimes. Or it's not what the experts think sometimes. We don't know. Yeah, breath in, breath out.
I liked your connection to the breath and how if you just allow it to happen, it will. And you kind of can relax into the fact that, yes, my breath will keep moving in and out of my body, and can try and relate that to other situations in your life where you try to bring some equanimity into my life is going to proceed the way it's going to proceed. And how I try to contain it or control it is only going to cause me suffering. And I like that connection.
If only we could remember that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Paula?
You here. Okay. I am currently in a situation My husband was recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I have joined the adult caregiver support group that meets online once a month, which in one sense it's good, but in the other sense, I'm hearing all these people talk about what they're going through with the people that they're caring for. And I'm getting like a little freaked out, and I'm doing like that advanced worrying that I shouldn't be doing, rather than, just dealing with the present moment, which I'm thinking, this isn't so bad, because this person is dealing with this over here. But it's like, okay, 6 months from now, am I going to be dealing with what this person is dealing with? It's like that kind of thing that's going around in my head. So, yeah, I'm going to be signing up for your mindfulness class, because I think I'm going to need that.
You are. I'm also going to share with you my new favorite podcast. I'll share it with everybody. I'll send an email to you guys. If you're listening on YouTube, I'll put it in the notes. It's called Let's Not Be Kidding, and it's by a comedian from Canada, and his mom has Alzheimer's.
Oh,
And in my experience of taking care of people that were ill, like, you got to find a little bit of comedy sometimes. It's
yeah.
just, there's so much that's difficult, and like, there's just moments where you're like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
And the podcast is funny and heartwarming and sad, and it's all the things, but it's really real. It's really real, because we all go through this, our version of it, and Alzheimer's is hard. I mean, there's one perspective that I try to keep reminding myself. I'm around a lot more people now that are going through these end stages. Like, in a way, Alzheimer's is the ultimate being in the present moment. It's like present moment over and over again. And it's, it seems like it's making light of it, but for those of us around people that are very much in the present moment, we're clinging to, no, but it's not 1920. Well, maybe it is in their head. I don't know. I do all these things so that I've got just resources for all the unexpected and the expected. Breath in, breath out.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you guys. I will see you next time.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
So what is happening on Fran's screen? I'm not a tech person. Oh, now it's gone. Okay. No, there it is.
No, it's back.
Yeah, it's the sun, and the angle of the lens is
Okay. Okay. Okay.
It's God.
It's
Done.
just- yeah. Thank
And then
you.
flare
Thank
back
you.
in my face.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.